woke up at 3 in the morning for no particular reason. No sound, no movement, nothing obviously wrong. And when you opened your eyes, your dog was already watching you. Not asleep, not restless, not waiting to go outside. Just completely still, sitting or standing at the edge of the bed or across the room, eyes fixed on your face in the dark. And for just a moment, before you remembered it was your dog, something in your chest did something uncomfortable. Because there is something about being watched while you sleep that the human nervous system is not entirely comfortable with, even when the watcher is an animal you love. Most people laugh it off. They tell the story at dinner, "My dog is so weird, I caught him just staring at me." But behavioral researchers have spent years studying exactly this moment, and what they've found doesn't just explain why your dog was watching you. It reframes what you understand about the animal that has been sleeping in your home, next to your most vulnerable self, every single night. What your dog is doing in that darkness is not strange. It is one of the oldest things they know how to do. Let's start with the obvious question. Is your dog actually guarding you? Not in the loose, affectionate way people mean when they say their dog is protective, but literally. Is your sleeping body the object of active, neurologically driven vigilance in your dog's brain? The answer is yes. And the system behind it is far more sophisticated than most owners realize. In 2020, researchers at the University of Sydney published a study in the journal PLOS One examining the sleep architecture of domestic dogs living in human households. What they found was remarkable. Dogs don't sleep the way humans sleep. Humans consolidate most of their deep sleep into one long nocturnal block. Dogs sleep in what chronobiologists call a polyphasic pattern, multiple shorter sleep cycles across a 24-hour period. The average dog spends roughly 12 to 14 hours sleeping per day, but rarely more than 45 minutes in any single uninterrupted sleep cycle. And crucially, they time their deepest rest to overlap with yours. When you are most deeply asleep, your dog is most likely to be in a lighter, more alert sleep state. Not by coincidence, by design. In wolf packs, the social structure from which your dog descended, sleep was never unguarded. Researchers studying wild wolf populations documented a consistent pattern. While the majority of the pack slept, one or two individuals maintained a lighter vigilance state, alert enough to detect threats, calm enough to conserve energy. The role rotated across the night. No single wolf bore the full weight of it. When dogs moved into human households, something extraordinary happened to that ancient system. It didn't disappear, it redirected. A 2019 study published in Animal Cognition by researchers at Eötvös Loránd University in Budapest found that dogs living with humans showed dramatically stronger social monitoring behavior toward their owners than toward unfamiliar humans or other dogs. They track your location, they track your movements, they track your emotional state. And the monitoring intensifies precisely when you are most vulnerable. Sleep researcher Stanley Coren at the University of British Columbia, one of the world's leading experts on canine cognition, documented through behavioral observation that dogs positioned near sleeping owners showed elevated alertness responses to environmental sounds that they largely ignored when the owner was awake and mobile. In other words, your dog is not equally vigilant all the time. Their vigilance scales with your vulnerability. When you are capable of protecting yourself, they relax. When you are unconscious and defenseless, Something in their nervous system quietly shifts into a higher state of watch. You didn't ask them to do this. You didn't train it. It comes from somewhere much older than either of you. But here's the layer that changes everything. We've established that your dog monitors you while you sleep, that their vigilance increases when you're unconscious, that this behavior has roots in ancient pack dynamics that predate domestication by thousands of years. But why you specifically? Because your dog doesn't do this for everyone. Research makes that very clear. So what exactly did you do, or become, that made your sleeping body worth guarding? In 2015, researchers at Azabu University in Japan published a landmark study in the journal Science. They measured oxytocin, the neurochemical of bonding and trust, in 30 dog-owner pairs during interaction. What they found was a self-reinforcing loop. Owner and dog, gazing at each other, produced simultaneous oxytocin surges in both species. The longer the mutual gaze, the stronger the bond signal. And the stronger the bond signal, the more the dog oriented their protective behavior specifically toward that person. Bonding and guarding are not separate systems in your dog's brain. They are the same system. The more deeply your dog is bonded to you, the more their ancient vigilance instinct focuses on you as its primary object. You don't just become someone they love, you become someone they are neurologically compelled to protect. But there's a genetic layer beneath even this. Geneticists studying the domestic dog genome have identified something wolves don't have: variations in genes associated with human-directed attachment and proximity seeking on chromosome 6. These mutations don't just make dogs friendly, they create what researchers describe as a hypersocial orientation towards specific humans. Your dog didn't choose to guard you the way a human makes a conscious decision. Their genome was shaped across 15,000 years of living beside sleeping humans in the dark. Every generation, the dogs that stayed close, that watched, that woke the camp when something moved at the edge of the firelight, those dogs were kept, were fed, were loved. The ones that didn't watch drifted away. What is sitting at the edge of your bed in the dark is the living result of 15 millennia of selection for exactly that behavior. They were built for this. Here's something that makes the staring even more remarkable. Your dog isn't just watching you while you sleep, they're reading you. In 2016, researchers at the University of Lincoln and the University of Sao Paulo confirmed that dogs process human facial expressions using the same left hemisphere brain bias that humans use to read each other's faces. They look at the right side of a human face first, exactly as humans do, because the right side of the face carries more emotional information. They do this in real time, during waking interaction. But the same facial reading capacity doesn't switch off when you're asleep. Researchers studying canine sleep vigilance found that dogs showed differential responses to their sleeping owners' facial expressions, reacting with subtle behavioral changes to expressions of distress even during sleep, remaining calm during neutral or peaceful expressions. Your dog can read the difference between a face that is sleeping peacefully and a face that is showing signs of distress, and they respond accordingly. They're not just watching your body for physical threats from outside, they're watching your face for signals from inside. If you've ever had a nightmare and woken to find your dog already awake and close, already nudging you or pressing against you, they didn't wake up when you startled. They were already watching, already reading, already there. There's one more layer to this, and it might be the most extraordinary part. Because we've talked about what your dog is doing while they watch you, what their brain is running, what evolutionary system is active. But researchers have also measured what your dog's presence, their watchfulness, is doing to you while you sleep. And the answer reveals something about this relationship that goes far deeper than protection. In 2024, researchers at the University of Jyväskylä in Finland measured heart rate variability, one of the most sensitive markers of nervous system regulation, in 30 dog-owner pairs across multiple conditions, including sleep. Heart rate variability, or HRV, reflects how well your autonomic nervous system is functioning. High HRV means your body is relaxed, regulated, and restorative. Low HRV means your stress response is running even while you rest. The finding was this. Dog-owner pairs showed synchronized HRV patterns during sleep. When the dog was calm and regulated, the owner's nervous system was more regulated. When the dog was alert or disturbed, subtle changes appeared in the owner's autonomic state, even without waking. Two nervous systems, two different species, co-regulating each other across 8 hours of unconsciousness. But there's a deeper implication. A calm dog watching over a sleeping human isn't just a passive presence. Their regulated nervous system is actively influencing yours. Their steady breathing, their warm stillness, their quiet watchfulness is doing something measurable to your body's ability to rest deeply. Your dog isn't just guarding you from external threats. Their presence, their calm, their watchfulness is itself a form of protection, one that works from the inside out. You sleep, love stays awake. I want you to think about something for a moment. 15,000 years ago, before cities, before agriculture, before any of the structures that make modern human life feel safe, humans slept in the dark. Real dark. The kind that swallowed everything beyond the firelight. And in that darkness, things moved. Predators that were larger, faster, and better equipped for the night than any human. And lying in that darkness, between the humans and whatever waited at the edges of the light, was a dog. Not because they were commanded to, not because they were trained to, but because something in their nature had already been shaped toward this. The watching, the listening, the light sleep that kept one part of their brain always slightly awake, while the humans beside them went fully under. That dog is still there, in your bedroom, in the dark, at 3 in the morning. The threats have changed. The firelight is gone. The predators at the edge of the camp are gone. But the dog watching your sleeping face doesn't know that. Or perhaps, more accurately, it doesn't matter. Because what drives them to that spot in the dark isn't a calculation of modern threat levels. It's something far older and far more constant. You are their person. You are asleep. You are vulnerable. And they are watching. Not because something told them to, but because 15,000 years of love made them into exactly the kind of animal that does. There's something important buried in all of this that most owners never consider. If your dog has always watched over you while you sleep, and they suddenly stop, if the nighttime vigil that has been part of your household rhythm for months or years simply disappears one day, pay attention. Veterinary researchers have established that changes in a dog's nighttime behavior are among the earliest indicators of two specific conditions. The first is pain. Dogs experiencing joint pain, spinal discomfort, or early-stage illness will often abandon sleeping positions or locations they previously maintained, not because their bond has weakened, but because the physical act of maintaining their watch has become costly. The second is canine cognitive dysfunction, the dog equivalent of dementia, which affects an estimated 35% of dogs over the age of 8. Disrupted sleep patterns and changes in nighttime behavior are the hallmark early symptoms, often appearing months before any obvious cognitive decline becomes visible during the day. Your dog's nighttime behavior is a health signal. A consistent pattern is a sign of well-being. A sudden change in that pattern is a signal worth taking seriously. If the watch changes, ask why. So the next time you wake at 3 in the morning for no particular reason, and you open your eyes and your dog is already there, already watching, don't laugh it off. Don't reach for your phone. Don't try to get them to lie down. Just look back. Because what is watching you in that darkness is not a pet that wandered in, not an animal running some vague protective instinct it doesn't understand. It is the living result of 15,000 years of a species shaping itself, gene by gene, generation by generation, into something capable of loving a human being so specifically, so completely, that their sleeping face became worth watching over in the dark. The wolves that walked toward the firelight instead of away from it gave you this. Every dog that lay between a sleeping human and the night across 15 millennia gave you this. This specific animal, this specific darkness, this specific watch. You are not alone when you sleep. You never have been. If this changed how you see that moment, subscribe to this channel. Every week we go deeper into the science behind what your dog is really doing, and it keeps getting more extraordinary the further we go. Drop a comment below. I want to know, have you ever woken up to find your dog already watching you? What did it feel like before you understood what it meant? Because the next video goes somewhere even more remarkable. We've looked at what your dog does while you sleep. Next, we're looking at what your dog's eyes are actually doing when they stare at you while you're awake. The slow blink, the held gaze, the look that feels impossibly like it means something. And the neuroscience behind it confirms that it does, in ways that will completely change how you look back.